what's up? Normal American Show. robnoerr. That's me, host. Got my new hat. Look at that. New golf hat. Pabst Blue Ribbon golf team. Yes! It's even got a little hole where you put your tee. I've been golfing for quite some time, but, it was a weekend, so I was with you Saturday. Did a little stream Saturday during the day there. Took Sunday night off. Here I am, Monday night. Great to be here. Yell at everyone. See if I can alienate more of my audience. Yay! We're going to be talking about this attack in New York. The attack bad enough, but the response to it, truly amazing. It really is. We're going to talk about Curtis Yarvin. How about that? In a little podcast that he had. At least a moment from it. And it's sort of a sentiment that I've echoed for a while. It's very strange. It's hard to be both optimistic and at the same time correctly, I think, pointing out just how much trouble we're in. So it should be fun. Let's see. I'm looking for some articles here, but how did you all's weekend go? I hope you had a good weekend. My weekend was pretty good. I can't complain. Internet problems there Friday night, but I think we got that. Whatever it was, they were right outside my driveway today, the internet people working on the lines. So I don't know if there was it wasn't bad weather, but I guess any freak accident could have happened or something. But this is the hat I wanted to wear today. I love it. I enjoy this hat. Unless you want me to put the Stretching the Limits hat on. Maybe we'll make that a regular segment. Stretching the limit. Rob. My favorite clip that Black Elk's ever put out. My wife never laughs at me, but she'll laugh at me doing a bit if it's edited by Black Elk. Starlight getting chipper and cheaper. What's it matter? We're all going to be embroiled in World War III soon anyways. Oh, man. You want the membership, you got to goad someone into donating. We had an off donating day Saturday. I didn't give a shit. I was like, that's fun. I've been obsessed with these videos of this this video game streamer, Darkside Phil. I don't know what it is. It's just people shitting on that guy. It makes me chuckle. Now I see, people are like, can you believe this guy is, asking for donations? I'm like, yeah. Oh, man. The best clip was the Dragon Ball Z. That's a great one. Yeah. So, yeah, we had a good weekend here, though. My son today, for the first time, we've tried this many times, and we finally accomplished. So one of my wife's all-time favorite movies from when she was a kid is Space Jam. And we finally got my son to sit down and watch Space Jam. And he was a big fan. Not the fucking LeBron James one. We're talking OG Michael Jordan, And it's sort of funny because if you think about it, as good of a kid movie it is, it's got the Looney Tunes and stuff. It takes 15, 20 minutes to get into Bugs Bunny or any of the animated characters. I forgot how that movie starts off. It's just Michael Jordan playing baseball. Actually, the premise of the beginning of the movie is actually maybe the best part. Thank you, Bobo. So y'all remember Michael Jordan had a little gambling problem, so then he went and played minor league baseball. So the beginning of Space Jam's just him striking out, playing minor league baseball. But all the minor leaguers he's playing against are like, "You're the greatest ever. Thanks for signing my glove for my son." That itself would have the premise to be a funny movie. Just an hour and a half of Michael Jordan getting frustrated, "No, I suck. It's okay to say I suck. You're the greatest." Just everything he's doing. Anyways, it takes a while to get into the fun stuff, the monsters and the Looney Tunes. So we finally got him past the first like 20 minutes or so. Then he was into it. And somehow throughout we were talking about sports competitions and stuff like that. And my son is now claiming that he's going to crush me at mini golf this year. So I'm pumped. I was like, "Oh, it's on." So me, Hank, one-on-one mini golf. And I'm not letting up, man. I'm going for the jugular. Yeah, the Monstars. Yeah. Good stuff. So, yeah, that was my day. Pretty good. It was also reasonable temperature. The sun was out. Of course, then every time you'll get a day like this, I'm like, is this it? Have we turned the corner? And then I look and it's like, nope, we're supposed to be back down to 20 degrees and snowing and raining here later in the week. Yay. So you almost think you're there. You're like, no. No. It's play for Scoops Ice Cream. Yeah, we'll get something on the board there. Speaking on the board, Naughty Germ, thanks for the $5, man. As always, much appreciated. All right, well, let's jump in, right? Let's talk politics, right? Where are we at in this Iran war? I continue to be the most hated man in America talking about this war. I'll reiterate something that I've said dozens of times, both with this and the Ukraine situation. Half the news that I'm reading, I don't know if it's true or not. Like, I'll I'll basically the only place I go at this point is X, and then from there I link to like I'll link to a CNN story or a New York Times story or something like that. Uh, it's half the shit I'm reading is like the U.S. is suffering and its allies are suffering devastating losses, far beyond what they expected. Then half of what I'm reading is like it's almost done. It's actually going much more swimmingly than the U.S. administration thought. Anytime I see footage, I don't know what to think. So you just have to go with the gut feeling and try your best. Look at the characters, know who the characters are, know that everyone's trying to propagandize you, and try to make your best judgment. So, like, let's talk about one situation. One of the first days in this attack, I commented, it was like, okay, so it was just breaking or just broken like 2 hours before that. Apparently, there was a girls' school hit and a bunch of students were killed. Kids, terrible. If it happened, that's your first thing. Did this happen? And then it seems that everyone's in agreement now that it happened. Now it's who's at fault. And originally it was the US or Israel. And then it was like people were like, oh, definitively it was Iran. Now the US takes on it sort of like, depends on who you hear from the administration, is like, well, we're investigating. We're not sure yet. And meanwhile, I see people saying it was absolutely a Tomahawk missile. Only the United States, between Iran, Israel, and the US, uses Tomahawk missiles. And then I had another person I saw that went into a detailed explanation showing a picture of the missile and explaining how it couldn't be a Tomahawk because basically the wings on the missile were lower than they would be on a Tomahawk or something to that effect. Now, be honest. Do you really know? Do you? You might have a gut feeling. I'll tell you this much. My gut feeling is it was the US or Israel. Because you would think if they thought it was pretty definitive that it was probably Iran, that their stories would be more consistent. Like Trump's basically like, oh, it definitely wasn't us. And then it seemed like Hegseth was like, well, we're looking into it. So I don't know. Now, one of the things I'm hearing is, and I don't, it's so fucking frustrating. And I know, and I actually tried to deep dive into this section of it because I was like, I just want to see, because I think that it seems lazy, and I am lazy, don't get me wrong. But to just be like, half these videos are fucking AI, half of it's clips from old conflicts, half of it's clips from Arma 3. What the fuck is going on? Tel Aviv's on fire. A shipyard and a U.S. base was nearly eliminated. Then the next post you read's like, no, it got hit, no casualties, but there was hardly any damage. I don't know what to make of it. So I was like, well, let's see this one story. And I'm more confused now than at the beginning of the day. I read this, Chris Pye. I read a guy that went through this and said sort of the direction, like the trajectory that it was coming from, the angle of it, plus like the make of the rocket, where the wings were at and stuff, suggests it was an Iranian missile. But then I saw other people say that's not true. Here's another part you're hearing. It was hit, the school, and then 20 minutes later, it was hit again. Anybody else hear that? Implication being it wasn't a one-off accident from either side. Yeah, if even we get it at a later time. Now the point I'm trying to make here is I don't know. Let's let's go through both scenarios. Scenario 1, it was Iran. What's the implication? It was on purpose? I don't think anyone's claiming that, right? I suppose you could make an argument Iran targeted it on purpose to blame the United States and Israel. I suppose that's a possibility. But it seems this is sort of, it was a dud, it was a failed missile. That's majority. I mean, what is there to say about that? War is hell. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. That's why, despite the fact that I'm America first, obviously, I'm also not a big fan of war. I mean, it sounds so fucking stupid to say, but I truly mean it. I'm not flippantly suggesting attacking, because I think of life like this. This is how I think of things. If I see someone who's a shithead get killed, like, and gosh knows it's all over the social media now, but you'll see these clips, someone breaks, is running from the police and they crash, and they die. One of the things I always try to think is somewhere that person who just died, shithead in the moment, you're kind of like, well, what'd you expect? I get it. I'm not crying any tears, but I do try to remember that person at some point had someone that loved them. A mother, a father, a grandma, probably. And I always try to think of that. Everyone, no matter how shitty, has people connected to them. And so when you're talking about these conflicts, even like, oh, it just killed Iranian soldiers, that sucks. And if war has to happen, it has to happen. I get it. But it is shitty. You won't see me, like the whole Ukraine-Russia conflict. I find it fucking disgusting how you could just find videos of both Ukrainian soldiers and Russian soldiers like begging for their lives as drones are just taking them out. And people are like, yeah! I'm like, man, that's fucking, I don't have it in me. I just don't. And those are soldiers. Now, exponentially worse if it's children, innocent civilian children. So take nothing away from that. It's not flippant to just be like, oh, well, I'm not saying that. It's a terrible, terrible, horrible thing, no matter who's responsible. I just don't know who's responsible. I don't know. If it was the United States, look, as much as I absolutely hate so much of our foreign policy decisions and dislike immensely our intelligentsia and all this shit and conflicts that we've been in the past. I don't know that even they are like, let's target an Iranian girls' school on purpose. My guess is whichever side did this, it was an accident and horrible. I don't know. I suppose an argument could be made that Israel's so evil, they did this on purpose to blame the Iranians, or the US is evil and did this to blame the Iranians, or the Iranians are evil and did this to blame the United States. I don't know. I just don't know. So I don't know what to say about that other than it's horrible. But I'll tell you this much, I'm not going to be a loser piece of shit and not say that if it ultimately turns out the United States did this, it's fucking terrible. And they should owe an explanation. That's what I said. Remember when Joe Biden decided to pull out of Afghanistan? Based move. In the most dumb, fucking childlike way ever. Stupid move. Resulting in Abbey Gate and 13 U.S. service members being killed, along with a bunch of other civilians. So what Joe Biden's team do? They found ISIS-K and bombed them back, only it wasn't. It was a family of someone that helped the United States, an interpreter and his children that they killed. It was fucking horrible. And I called that out. And if we're honest, I don't think the U.S. was like, let's purposely kill a fucking interpreter. They probably had bad intel and thought this was something. Oh, get better, Avers, man. So I don't know. But I bring up the story to say I looked into this heavily and I still can't definitively tell you what the truth is. And I think most people understand. Like Nation Detective said, we ain't going to know the truth for weeks. Yeah, but this is what's so frustrating. It feels like if you're in my position, if you're a commentator and you're commentating every day, there's a rush to be like, this is it. This is what happened. And I just don't know. And I know that's like, the audience doesn't want to hear that. The audience wants to hear, like, yeah, my guy's got some deep insight. But I would be bullshitting you when it comes to these sort of things. The overarching conflict, etc., I think is easier to talk about. But the individual, how many U.S. ships have been hit so far? Who exactly in the Iranian regime has been killed? How many ballistic missiles did Iran launch today? I don't know. I try to follow it. I really do. And I can't make heads or tails. I tell you my gut feeling. My gut feeling is the Trump was convinced by people in his administration that this would be easier than what it's showing to be. That's my feeling. That he thinks by this point they would have already curled up. And I think that it's not going as easy as they thought. I don't think that the worst claims that you hear online, like the U.S. has already lost, but I don't buy that. But I don't think it's going as swimmingly as they thought it would. I really don't. And I do think that even though you could take each individual poll and crumple it up and throw it away, I believe that an aggregate of the polling shows that this isn't the most popular thing. It's not horrible yet. It's probably 5% underwater. So you're probably looking at like 47.52 or something like that. 52% against it, 47 for it. But the longer it goes, the worse that's going to get. And I think that the potential of oil prices, now they went down, but they shot way up. Now they went down considerably today. They're still high. I think that Trump's at some point going to have to make a decision. Is he going to pull the plug and be like, look, and I heard people say this, I'm not going to be the person to take credit. The truth is, it doesn't matter if we won or not. What does victory look like here? Can anybody explain it? If I could steel man, someone tell me if I'm wrong. If I could steel man the position of the Trump administration, it's these people can't have an aggressive military anymore. We're going to take out their ships. We're going to take out their drones. We're going to take out their ballistic missile capability. And we're going to take out any remnants of a nuclear program that they had. Right? Does anyone disagree? That seems to basically be what the goal is. Now, you could say, well, was it also regime change? Maybe. But as far as what they're telling us, thanks, I'm glad people like that. So how are we going to know if Trump tomorrow comes out and says, hey, we talked to Iran, mission accomplished. That's it. We took out the capabilities we wanted. We no longer think they're a long-term threat in the region. We've negotiated a ceasefire. It's victory. Oil prices are going to come down now. We just showed the rest of the world. What would you say to that? What if Iran's like, no, they pushed out, they backed down. And Trump's just like, no, this is the best deal ever. One person says, I'd say no way. I think a lot of Trump. So there's people that are like Trump supporters like me that aren't the biggest fan of this, that would be like, whatever, we're just glad it's done. Then there's the people that are going to agree with Trump no matter what. And they're going to be like, yep, great. Then there's the people like the neocon type people that really want like this war with Iran. They're going to be pissed. They're going to be like, this is bullshit. But how would you really know? It's hard enough to say what the fucking goal is, let alone how will we know if it's accomplished? If I could barely articulate what the goal is, how will I ever be able to tell you, yeah, I think Trump accomplished the goal? So, Iran's strategy sort of made no sense to me, as I said from the get-go. I'm fully aware that a lot of these Arab nations, like Saudi, UAE, etc., Qatar, they're probably cooperating to some degree with the United States. But for Iran to just lash out and start bombing all of them, I thought they should have played the strategy more like the Palestinians. They should have played for the PR victory, right? Hold out, keep launching at Israel, launch at U.S. bases, right? But claim victimhood. Like, we didn't aggress. That's what I thought they should have done. So I was a little baffled by their strategy. They sort of, because like if I'm the Emirates, I'm like, what the fuck? All right, fuck you then. That would be if I'm them, I'm like, we're going to sit this one out. We're going to sit in the fence, but fuck you. If that's how it's going to be. But yeah, you want to achieve the political victories, dissent back home, the Vietnam style victory. Make it politically unpopular. Dig in, right? Saudi says it wasn't Iran that bombed them. I did not hear that. So, I don't know. We'll see. I think that we're at least we're going to have another month. If boots go on the ground, this is going to be massively unpopular. I already don't like this. If boots go on the ground. Now, let me be clear. What do we mean? Like, we have to define our terms. What do we mean by boots on the ground? Does that mean we have a couple CIA dudes trying to help a color revolution there? Or an actual revolution, I guess. No, I guess that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like, actual U.S. soldiers. Not 10 or 20 special forces. Right, because there's already CIA folks all over Iran. Given that, there's boots on the ground in Iran, there's boots on the ground in fucking Ukraine. Our military assets are in Ukraine. But I mean, like, deploying actual regular troops. That would be a nightmare. I don't think it'll result in a draft. If it did, it would have to be because of a serious U.S. attack. So, yeah, I don't think there's much of a chance of being a draft. There just wouldn't be a political will for it. It would. Now, this is also an interesting comp. Like, let's for a second here. Let's talk about Israel. Let's get everyone all fired up again, right? So my video that the Black Elk Up put up today. I love it when my channel puts up a video of me and the majority of my audience is like, "Fuck you." That's how I know I'm doing good. So I'm well aware that some 60% of my audience is just like, there's only one explanation for this. It's Israel. Israel's the great Satan. We must fight Israel at all costs. Of that 60%, there's 20%. They're like, and what's the problem with Islam? There's nothing incompatible with Islam with the West. We'll talk about that later. Now, one of the things I always found interesting is Scott Adams used to talk about this. If you look at the players, oftentimes that's more important than the play itself. So who's telling you the message? Who are the people that benefit, right? So this was always one of the things I had to say when I would look at things. I'd be like, isn't it odd how when there are things that my gut feeling tells me this is really shitty, there's something really shitty going on, that basically in the United States, the two opposition parties, at least supposedly opposition, Republican and Democrat, agree. For example, 2008 financial crisis, bailing out the banks. Republicans and Democrats are both like, yeah. Or, as we'll talk about later, voter ID, nah. Border security, nah. It's weird. They're always in agreement. Iraq war, yeah. Afghanistan, yeah. It's weird. In agreement. Israel's different. So's Iran. Why was Obama sending pallets of cash to Iran if he's under the thumb of Israel? Was this a long play by, was it a long play by Israel? That Israel was like, we'll send the pallets of cash and then hope Trump wins to rescind the pallets of cash, which makes conflict with Israel more inevitable? Why is it that all of our institutions that shape our culture and our politics, so many of them could be so virulently anti-Israel? Academia, for example, Hollywood, cultural institutions like that. There's certainly a lot of them that are pro-Israel to an absurd extent that's fucking aggravating. But why is that? Why is it that just that one, they're based on that one issue? The globalists that run our academic circles, the globalists that run so much of our politics, that one issue they're based on. Yeah, fuck Israel. They got that. And it's odd because all the other major things that like I could see as like a fucking joke. COVID was the same thing. Don't be fooled. The Republicans initially right on board with COVID until enough of their own base mutinied. They're right there with the Democrats. 15 days, slow spread. Pallets cash went to Iran. John Kerry admitted that some of that money probably ended up in the hands of organizations like Hezbollah. So my feeling on it was always this. Like, Israel does not have my best interests at heart. They don't have Christians' best interests at heart. They don't have U.S. citizens' best interests. They have their country's best interests at heart. And the people that are religiously or ethnically affiliated with that country. Same's true of Iran. They don't fucking like me. They don't like the United States. I say fuck them both. That's what I say. But somehow, it got twisted to the point now where it's like, well, here's the deal. I have to, like, fucking side with people shouting from the river to the sea on college campuses. The same sort of people that if I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, be like, hey, I'm glad to hear that. Also give your land back to the Native Americans and pay your reparations to black people. Those are my allies? And it's not only are those my allies, it's without question. It's just you have to accept it. You have to accept that all of our foreign policy, the vast majority of our foreign policy in the Middle East is completely driven by Israel. That's it. There are no other considerations. I would love to hear an explanation. Do those people think that Barack Obama was like the greatest president ever? He seemed to stand up to that. Or was it somehow the Iran deal and going soft on Iran and all of this shit, was it part of Israel's long game? I don't know. I know Obama and his administration fucking hated me. They hated my way of life. They want to mass import people. I saw that. Did they want to do that? Were they just pretending to benefit Iran? Well, yeah, Bobby, I promise I'll get to the super chat. I'll read them all, but yeah. It's the cultural Marxist thing, sure. So they're right on this. Okay, but why wasn't Israel able to control them? Why wasn't Israel able to be like, nah, Obama, you can't do that? No. He broke free somehow. I don't understand. How did academia break free? Academia that'll they're contradicted. They'll take all this money from China, influence from China. They'll take money from anywhere. But just this one issue, they're not taking Israeli money. They're based on this one issue. Yes, I'm well aware. Was Israel's plan to allow Obama to pretend to be against them, knowing full well that Trump would win in 2016 to rescind it? That was the plan from Israel? Yes. There's a globalist faction that's not supporting Israel. Right. That's my take on it as well. That's exactly my take on it. My take is I think basically our country sold out, not to Israel, partially to Israel, but to globalist interests all around the world, including in the United States. They just don't give a fuck about us, the average citizen. They don't care. Don't care at all. Maybe that means we're siding with the global sort of left-wing globalists, bring in the Muslims, blah, blah, blah. We'll support Iran, etc. Maybe that means siding with Israel. No, we're going to contain Iran in the Muslim world, but we're also going to import Muslims to all of your countries. But that's the point I'm getting to. And I think so many people, right, are so. You have every. Like, look, you want to be pissed at Israel? I'm taking steps to bring someone on the channel that's going to articulate to me why Israel is the root of all of the problems we have in the United States. I'm going to do it. I'm open to suggestions. I know I'm trying to get Jay Dyer to come on, trying to get David Patrick Harry to come on. These are people I respect. And I'm going to give them the floor and be like, you tell me what's up. It's not going to be a debate. I'm going to ask questions. But at the end of the day, I don't know what the compelling answer to that part is. As if there's not other globalist agendas that also are antithetical to me that have huge parts of our culture. I don't know. I just don't give a fuck. I'm tired of my representation in my government not giving a shit about me or anyone else like me. Yes, there are those like Ted Cruz that'll say, my religion says that, we got to protect Israel's homeland. What the fuck are you talking about? Shut the fuck up. I'm tired of the fucking opposite side telling me, oh, there's nothing incompatible with Islam in the West, and we have to open our doors. I'm tired. I'm tired of it. I watched this fucking two lunatic guys, throw what was tantamount to a fucking bomb in New York here the other day. And I watched almost the entirety of the left wing, including Mamdani and others, say, white supremacy, that's the problem. It's white people and Christians. That's who's responsible for these Muslims throwing a bomb. And then I had two of my friends in real life say, did you see this shit? Did you see they're blaming Christians, blah, blah, blah? I said, yeah. They said, how ridiculous. It's clearly the Jews. I feel like the only person that has lost my fucking mind. I watch a radical Muslim try to kill people, and the left says it's white Christians' fault, and the right says it's Jews' fault. What about the Muslims? No? No time to talk about that? It's fucking insanity. Now, yes, could it be that there was an overarching plan from Israel to import mass amounts of people, including Islam, which then bears the fruits of this? Sure, but I'm sorry. I'm not buying this. Oh, it's the only problem with the Muslim world in the United States and Christians and white people in the West in general is Israel. If we blinked Israel out of existence tomorrow, as if Muslims would all be like high-fiving us and be like, yes, cool as shit. There's a fucking problem. Yes, you need to identify the problem at all levels. if it's that Iran or China or Soros or Israel or Adelson or whoever is intentionally funding to get third world fucking migrants into our country, absolutely we need to do everything possible to hold them accountable and stop that. But also, on the ground level, I'm allowed to look and with my fucking eyes and see that if I hear some guy shouting Allah Akbar, that's a fucking problem. I'm gonna fucking get out of there. I'm not gonna be like, well, wait a minute. This is all just confusion because of Israel. Maybe. Jewish individuals aren't throwing bombs at people on the street that want to say anything negative about Islam. And I don't like, look, if you want to fucking hate Israel, if you want to hate Iran, that's fine. Right? But what I think's hilarious is watching so many people, particularly on the right, whose hatred of Israel is so much. I can show you the comments on some of my videos. They're like, there's nothing wrong with Islam. There's nothing incompatible with Islam. Are you insane? Are you insane? Your hatred of Israel goes that far? Sure, there's a triage of problems. Okay, here's my triage of problems. I am a Republican. There is a 90% Republican issue right now, the SAVE Act, that my representation won't pass. Now, I'll fight like hell to do what I can to try to get representation that will enforce the will of the people. Meanwhile, I could go to a city right now where there are Muslims and I don't want to be there right now. Triage that shit. Triage that. Well, I'll ignore this problem right now. Muslims throwing bombs in a fucking speech rally because, we have to triage and, it's all about getting Jews money out of Congress. I don't get it. I get it. Yeah, look, I think that the problem, the people that just want to scream Israel, listen, I remember I was on the show and I was talking about it's fucking ridiculous that our administration and the Republicans in general will go out of their way to be like, they're saying anti-Semitic shit on college campuses. And they're doing that. Fine, great. Where's all the anti-white fucking enforcement though? Nothing. Anti-Christian? Nothing. Yeah, that's bullshit. Yep. But it's never enough. It's never enough. It has to be like, Rob, when you see a radical Muslim throw an explosive, your first thought has to be like, fuck them Jews. Fuck them. Can I criticize them? Yeah, whatever. You can say you don't like the Islam, but the real important thing is to focus on Israel at this moment. We have a Muslim mayor of fucking New York whose wife was posting about how based October 7th was. We then have radical fucking Muslims throwing explosives. The irony of irony at someone that was... This is so funny. I love this. It's very similar to what you see. You see this all the time when someone will criticize the black community. They'll be like, blacks are too violent. Someone's like, you wouldn't say that shit to my face, I'll beat your fucking head in. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if you're helping your case here. Now we have, what's that? You're saying that Islam's not compatible with the Western world? You're using your free speech to say that? Well, fuck you. We'll take you out. Along with a bunch of other innocent people. Way to prove the point. So what's the Muslim mayor's reaction? Wow, this white supremacist. You know? It was hate. It was a hate rally. It's his fault. Oh, yeah, and it's bad. There was violence. That's bad. Almost every mainstream outlet in this country made it seem, based on their headlines, it was like white supremacist rally, and then there was violence, that it was the white supremacist that did violence. That's the mayor of New York. Katie Hochul, the governor, came out and said it's both sides' problem. Both sides' fault. Really? And the response from so many people on the right's like, Rob, why would you suggest this has anything to do about Islam? It's all about Israel. Mm-hmm. Okay. I guess, did Israel also install Mamdani and then shrewdly have his wife basically reposting shit that they deserved October 7th? Was this also all part of their shrewd plan? Can I just say, yeah, fuck that faction too. Fuck the Obama faction. Fuck the pro Iran faction. Fuck these lefties that hate Israel, right? But also hate me and hate any Western value because they view everything through the lens of oppressor and oppressed. And also fuck Israel. Why can't I do that? Why can't I be on that team? Why can't I say, no doubt Israel was lobbying for this war and their interests are definitely separate from my interest, for sure. But that doesn't mean that absolutely 100% the only reason we went to war was because it only benefits Israel and there was no potential benefit to the United States. I don't believe that. I think that it's wrong. I think that I don't agree with the war, conflict, whatever the fuck we're calling it now. But it's like even when I outline it, it's just amazing to me. It's fucking amazing. It's absolutely insane to me that I could come on here and be like, I don't like this attack. I think Israel has too much influence. I think their interests, while sometimes aligning with the United States, oftentimes are separate. I think that they were certainly pushing for this conflict. I think they're our ally in it. But I'm not 100% convinced that this means that Trump drinks blood with Miriam Adelson, or he's in the Epstein files, or that he owes everything to Israel and they have blackmail. I'm not convinced. Oh, you're getting $7,000 from Israel. Okay. No, your lefty bullshit means nothing here. Oh, the fact that a school, who we already talked about, we don't know who is responsible for hitting in Iran, that's worse than on American streets, Muslims throwing bombs at people because they don't like their free speech. Not to me, it's not. Sorry. Fuck you. Where were you when Obama was the bomber in chief? Would you have been saying, well, then, if Democrats are getting blown up in mass and attacked, hey, it's still not as bad as Obama? He droned innocent people, right? Fuck you. You voted Trump 3 times. Well, then you're a fucking moron on top of it. Scratch one of these fucking people, you know, and you'll get the fucking right. Oh, Trump's the worst and blah blah blah. Hey, if Americans are getting bombed on the streets of New York, hey, they basically have it coming. Still not as bad as that school being hit in Iran. Yeah, fuck you. Then go to Iran, motherfucker. See ya. Were there 30,000 Iranians murdered last month? Maybe, maybe not. How the fuck do I know? I didn't know any of them. Well, if it's true, I didn't hear the Democrats' outrage. Are they saying it didn't happen? I don't know. It's always selective, though, isn't it? See, it's false. Other people say, my goodness, it's true. Consumer, you're saying it was Kurdish rebels. Are you saying they killed 30,000 Iranians, Kurdish rebels? Maybe. I'm not ruling it out. Could have been. I mean, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't even know if that many people died. I had this moment once when I was a drunk in college. And I remember one night I was drinking with some friends. I went upstairs. We were in my place. My place was just a 24/7 party at this point. It was the Dirty 30. It was 30. Our street address was 30. So we called it the Dirty 30. There was always people there drinking any hour of the day. And I was drunk. I go upstairs to take a piss. And I don't know what it was. I was reading something. I can't remember. I was reading a book, though. And I'm washing my hands and I look in the mirror. And I just, for whatever reason, drunk looking in the mirror, had this thought that crept in my head. And I was like, and I wasn't religious at the time, you know. I wasn't like a horrible atheist. I used to be, but I wasn't like a horrible atheist, but I was agnostic or I just didn't give a shit. I didn't think about it. And I remember thinking, who the fuck am I? This fat, fucking overeaten, overindulgent piece of shit, drinking my life away. Meanwhile, somewhere out there is a 5-year-old kid that's dying of starvation right now. Right now, in some country. And why? Because he was born somewhere different? Why is that fair? How could I go on living my life like having fun and blissful, knowing that that exists out there? It just, like that, popped into my head while I was drunk. And that stuck there for like 3 weeks. I was depressed as a motherfucker. Absolutely depressed. How could you enjoy anything in life? And then I just sort of had this thought, and I later talked to some Christians that kind of backed this up. It was like, but isn't that selfish on my part? Isn't that also selfish? That's life. You might get in your car and get in a wreck today. Then what? You know, who am I to piss away the luck that I have? That's why I say all the time on here, and I felt this way for a good 16, 17 years now, ever since that moment. My goodness, am I lucky? Am I unbelievably lucky? And who am I to waste that being a morose piece of shit? And the truth is, I do care about the people around me more. I care about my wife, and I care about my son, and I care about my community, and I care about my state, and I care about my country more than I do the rest of the world. And that's just true. That doesn't mean that I'm intentionally going out and inflicting harm upon others. So, yes, I will tell you right now, there are terrible, shitty things that occur around the world: violence, disease, famine, starvation, sexual exploitation, etc. around the world on a daily basis. I'm allowed to still say, I want my country to be safe and secure. I'm allowed to do that. I don't have to say, well, you know, because there's third world shitholes out there, I guess the streets of our cities must be open up to drug addicts and violent people. And I guess sometimes you just have to expect to get stabbed on the train. And I guess you have to let the violent criminal out 37 times. Because after all, isn't what the United States did in the past really bad? Isn't what's going on in Iran really bad? Or what's going on in insert any other country? No, I'm sorry. No. I fundamentally reject that idea. Well, this school got hit in Iran, so we can't focus on some violent fucking Muslims throwing explosives at a rally in New York. Can't focus on that. The morality argument is gone. And it's so complicated. I'm not saying there's not objective morality, but at this point, like, let's go back and let's shit on Israel a little more. Right? Did Israel go too far? In Gaza? Probably. I'll be honest, I'd stop paying attention. But yeah, I'm willing to say they probably went too far. But if it was my wife, they got taken hostage and killed, would it have been too far? No fucking chance. No, it wouldn't have been far enough. So what perspective are you looking at? Did Hamas go too far on October 7th? Yeah, probably. But if you're some dude that grew up in the Gaza Strip and IDF soldiers fucking butchered your family, shot your family or some shit in an incident 10 years ago, when you grew up with that hatred in your heart, kind of puts it in a different perspective, doesn't it? I wonder if I can find this clip. This is absolutely heartbreaking. I saw this the other day. I don't know if this is true, but this is allegedly a U.S. soldier in Iraq interviewing, during around the time of the Iraq War, interviewing a kid, an Iraqi kid.
Hussein good?
Very good.
Why is he so good?
Saddam, very nice.
But he killed the Kurds. He killed a lot of innocent people.
Why know like Saddam?
Saddam, I don't not like him. I don't know the guy. Was your father Jundi?
Yes.
Your father was a soldier for Saddam.
Zabut. Journal.
Journal?
Yes.
That's probably why he got killed. He's a Jundi.
Bother me. Did American shoot him? Why?
Why did we shoot your dad?
Yes, why?
I didn't shoot your dad.
American shoot father. Why?
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 Bad guy. America. Some American soldiers are very bad.
Yes.
Very bad.
Yes.
I'm not.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Why I'm sorry? Father did. Father me.
Do you hate Americans?
What?
Do you want to shoot me? No?
You American soldier from good, from no good.
Yes, that's true.
Now, if I was that kid and I grew up and I got accepted into the United States, either through illegal immigration or immigration, you don't think there'd be part of me that's like, I'll show these motherfuckers. Doesn't matter. Was his dad shooting him? It's irrelevant to that kid's subjective feeling. Now, I know this. I know the United States as a country is fucked with other countries around the world. We've been the world police. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. All times. It comes from a subjective perspective, though. Anytime, even if you say the United States was objectively doing a good thing, intervening in this situation, somewhere, some innocent person died. Or some person died who had a family member that feels that their family member that got killed was doing the right thing. That's the truth. So what am I supposed to do with that? I feel horrible for that kid. Maybe his dad was shooting U.S. troops. Maybe not. But I at least try to say, I understand it. I understand if he has anger and hatred. I get it. I totally get it. I understand if there are people in Libya and Syria and Afghanistan and now Iran whose family was killed that's going to hold a grudge against people of my way of life. I get that. And yet, I still want my family defended with lethal force if necessary. I'm sorry. I still want our soldiers defended with lethal force if necessary. I still want shitbag lefties in New York City defended with lethal force if necessary from outsiders that feel they're justified in taking the lives of Americans. That's it. I understand their motivation. I get it. I think that outside of it, it's like a relationship, right? Have you ever witnessed friends you had, like a husband and wife split up? And you could see from outside this perspective, anything family related. From an outside perspective, hey man, your lady cheated on you. Fucking let her go. Kick her to the curb. It's easy for you to say. You're not there. You're not the person that's subjectively feeling all of these things. Outside that, without the emotions, you're like, look, I can explain to you why it makes sense for you to. But when you're there, it's different. That's Israel, Hamas to me. These motherfuckers are in a blood feud going back hundreds of years. What am I going to say? What is about? This is about, I want my government to stay the fuck out of it. That's what I want. Just stay the fuck out of it. Hey man, you guys blow each other to smithereens, and whoever's left standing, if you guys want to trade some fucking goods or whatever, let us know. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, Israel went too far. Or I'm not going to sit here. I mean, it's just, they did, in my estimation. But if it was me, if it was my family that was killed, I'd probably be like, fuck that. Not enough. I fucking hate listening. I find it to be a cop-out. I don't agree with everything the way it's spun with so many of my friends in the online sphere that debate. Andrew Wilson or Jim Bob, when they talk about force doctrine. They're objectively right. Force doctrine's not a prescription. It's a description. It's just explaining. And oftentimes, it can get frustrating because I know it can feel like a cop-out, but it is just true. The rules are different for certain countries because they have force. That's it. And so as an American, I can say, whatever happened to this Iranian school? Horrible, tragic. Maybe the United States did it, maybe Israel did it, maybe Iran did it. If any of these groups did it on purpose, someone should be held accountable for that. We'll probably never get evidence that goes that far. Whoever, if we ever find any evidence. But I could look at that situation and say, that's tragic, it's horrible, and still say, but my primary concern is my country. But Rob, your country's over there fighting. Yeah, and my primary concern is still my country. And if I don't want boots on the ground, but they get put there, guess what, motherfucker? Every single soldier, I don't care their politics, whatever, that would get sent in the ground over there, I'm going to be rooting for them. Just like I was in Iraq, and I disagreed with that war, and Afghanistan, and I disagreed, and Syria, and I disagreed, and Libya, and I disagreed. So I think you could say, Rob, do you understand why a radical Islamic faction can recruit people in Afghanistan after the United States occupation there for 20 years? Yeah, I understand it. And yet, fuck them. I can understand it, but God forbid I ever have to fight for my country. I'm a fat old man at this point. But if I had to, you might understand. I don't know. Some of you out there have seen active combat. You may well understand that person you're shooting at might have been friends with you. Maybe you're not all that different. And this is particularly true in, when it's not like against third world nations, but like, Civil War would be the best example, but you could say the wars with England, world wars, etc. And yet, you might understand, look, they're just like me. And yet, if it's me or them, it's me. So someone said this the other day. They were talking. Well, basically the U.S. has this coming because overthrowing the Shah 70 years ago? Okay. By the way, aren't we sort of now overthrowing the regime that sort of came out after that? So we're kind of setting it back to square one? All right. Let's read some super chats. FDNY, thank you for being a member again, man. Nate Tripp, $5 says, I have a very hard time believing anything from this administration right now. Thanks for keeping it real. Thank you. Bobby C, $5 says, I remember people saying Russia thought Ukraine would be quick and easy too. Yeah. Yep. They did. I think Russia was shocked. Bobby C again, $5 says, the reason the left is based on Israel is because they are Marxist with the oppressor-oppressed dialectic, broken cock theory. Yes, but they have power, right? If the argument is I agree with that 100%. But if the argument is Israel is so powerful that they basically control all of our foreign policy, why are they unable to capture huge parts of these institutions? I understand why the left thinks Israel bad, their oppressor. But why can't they just pay their way out of it? Like, for example, China bad, China oppressor, but China can buy their way out of it. Aquanote, $5. Thank you. Wade Boggs, you crazy man. $100. Thank you so much. Says, sure, could buy a lot of whip songs with that 7K from you know who. Google apparently won't mention Jay's in the super chat. Yeah. Well, they still haven't sent me the money. I'm just not on I'm not on Team Iran or Team fucking Israel enough to get either of them to like me. All the sides would hate me. Thanks, Wade. We'll play a whip song here at the end of the night. Psycho Carrig, $5 says, I think Trump would prefer to act at home, but it's impossible. He's trying to do his best to put us in a global position he can while he has power. Well, I think that undoubtedly what we see is that this results in less. If he's throwing up his hands and saying, I can't do anything domestically, what's the point? Aquanote, $10. Thank you so much. Over on Rumble, Jory Beats, $50 says, for the Pause of Cash Fund, let's get those donos in. Thank you. We're offended. You're offended. Thank you so much for the raid. Appreciate it. Thank you all so much for your generous super chats. We're all going to be dead in World War III anyways. Explain how to buy your way out of it. Would the left not understand that China is authoritarian? That they oppress women? It's just overlooked. Because, well, there's a lot of money in overlooking it. And a lot of... Baxter Boy, $5. Thank you so much. Now let's go to some... Walter Masterson, let's play this clip. He was sort of a left-winger that was giving a speech. Now, you can't make this... I'm late to commentating on this, right? You can't make this up. So this guy, he's literally giving a speech about how we need to include everyone. And, Islam, great. He's a left-winger here. Now watch.
We were born and raised in New York, and we want everyone here to stay in New York. You don't get to come from outside and then tell everyone else.
Now, that was the guy throwing the explosive, the Islamic terrorist. I mean, you can't make it up. And this is what Walter Masterson said about it. Now, here's a man who almost lost his life, only because the fuse didn't go off, right? He's suddenly saying, we want all these Muslims to stay in New York, and to hell with you that have a problem with that. Bam! Explosive comes over his head. He stands there confused. Now, this guy almost lost his life, along with dozens of other people there. Many of them left-wingers listening to him, right? Here's what he had to say about it. I cannot stress this enough. It was right near our feet, and it did not look real. We just stood there laughing. Meanwhile, the incel femoids ran away, having been totally jester-mogged. Their cortisol levels have yet to recover. He owned them, didn't he? He showed them this lefty. That's the real problem. Not the actual Islamic extremists that just threw an explosive at him. But no, it was Jake Lang. The people that were like, Islamists are extreme. This Muslim proves his point by throwing an explosive. And the dude stood there out of fear because he has no survival instinct. Like so many of these lefties, and it's like, yeah, I jester-mogged him. Ha ha! Hey, JS, thanks for the raid, man. And outlet after outlet after outlet after outlet, mainstream outlet, misrepresented what happened. The sort of lie of framing or the lie of omission. White supremacy. First off, Jake Lang. You might remember Jake Lang from being the dude that just like a month ago went to Minneapolis and they almost beat him to death for calling out the Somali fraud. Now he almost gets an explosive thrown at him, or, well, he did get one, and almost detonates and takes his life. Now, I don't know a lot about Jake Lang. He seems to be very controversial and provocative. Is he a white supremacist? Or are we just using that term anyone who speaks that we don't like? Am I a white supremacist? Because I have problems with radical Islam? I see John Cleese from Monty Python. He's been saying this. Why am I Islamic phobic? He says, I made a movie called Life of Brian that was sort of poking fun at Christianity, and people believe it. Yet, I could get arrested for discussing some of the shit I see with Islam in my country. Doesn't make me Islamophobic. Doesn't matter. You get smeared, tarnished with that label. So, now we just all have to accept Jake Lang's white. He may well be. I don't know. But I'll guarantee the vast majority of the people just saying, yeah, he's white supremacists, don't know shit. They're just repeating it because they saw some major outlet say it. So there you go. I'll just show you a couple comments. New York Times, you can't even make this up. Here was their original headline: smoking jars of metal and fuses thrown at protest near mayor's house. 6 people were arrested after anti-Islamic protesters led by right-wing activist Jake Lang clashed with counter-protesters near Gracie Mansion. Now, you'd be forgiven for not knowing it was the Muslims that threw the explosive, or even what it was. Now, I could have interpreted that it was the Muslim. You know how I knew it? Because the way it explains the explosive is smoking jars of metal and fuses. If it was Jake that had thrown it, it would have said, horrific pipe bomb thrown by white supremacist Jake Lang's group. I mean, these euphemisms are out of control. Again, if you didn't have social media, if X wasn't out there, and you were just reliant on the mainstream media. By the way, not to bag on the guy I was talking about Saturday. Remember, Destiny. That's what he said he wants. Too much disinformation on social media. It should only be the mainstream outlets that could report the news. Right. And it was like that all over the place. Here is Mamdani, the mayor of New York. Here's what he had to say. Yesterday, white supremacists. Again, I'm going to read it, then we'll talk about it, okay? Yesterday, white supremacist Jake Lang organized a protest outside Gracie Mansion rooted in bigotry and racism. Such hate has no place in New York City. It's an affront to our city's values and the unity that defines who we are. What followed was even more disturbing. Violence at a protest is never acceptable. The attempt to use an explosive device and hurt others is not only criminal, it's reprehensible and the antithesis of who we are. Now, if you read that, if you didn't know, who threw the explosive? Well, let's see. There was a protest, and who organized the protest? A white supremacist named Jake Lang. And then at that protest, there was violence. That's right. It makes it sound like it was the white supremacist. Not the Islamic terrorists. I saw someone say, don't worry, the Cato Institute will put this down as right-wing terrorism. Here's your white supremacist. Handsome chap, huh? CBS, 6 arrested chaotic dueling protest outside Gracie Mansion. Daily Mail, improvised explosive found at protest near Gracie Mansion, Mamdani's office residence. Device hurled to New York City's mansion was an IED that could have caused serious injury, says NYPD. Device hurled at Mayor's mansion was an IED that could have caused serious injury. Device outside the residence. Smoke bombs reportedly thrown at protest. Police investigating after device thrown at anti-Islam protests in New York City. Device thrown near Mamdani's risk, with risk of serious injury or death. No mention! No mention! Ubiquitous throughout our media. Are you starting to see a pattern in the Western world? In the United Kingdom, if you have Muslims in a grooming gang that assault thousands upon thousands of young children, and then you protest about it and you say, I don't think we want more Muslims in. I don't think we want these refugees. You get locked up. If you wave a British flag, you get it taken away as a hate symbol. When a trans shooter shoots up children in a Catholic school, we're worried about the trans people being the victims. When a Muslim throws an explosive device at a protest, we're worried about we're worried about Islamophobia. Isn't that interesting how that works in the Western world? Almost like they have a preconceived notion of the groups that are oppressors, whites, men's, Christians, straight, etc., and the groups that are oppressed, people of color, women, gays, trans, LGBT, whatever, Muslims. And so then, whatever happens, the details are irrelevant. A Muslim, one of the group that's oppressed did something wrong. Well, we all understand that. They're oppressed. So, we'll talk about it like, it's a shame. They were really a victim too. How many times in the past 2 months have I showed you like judges talking about, well, yes, this young black man, assaulted this woman at gunpoint in her car. But, he's black. He's had a difficult life. No, he says, no, that's what you're trying to make. Yes, we're going to cut your sentence in half. How about Mehdi Hassan? Jake Lang was pardoned by Trump for his role on January 6th. I'm trying to imagine the right's response if Joe Biden had pardoned a violent convicted criminal who turned up at a violent protest outside the home of Ron DeSantis. They'd be drafting articles of impeachment. They threw a pipe bomb at him! Charlie Kirk gets assassinated. They blame it on Republicans and Trump, and Jimmy Kimmel becomes the victim. Jake Lang gets an explosive thrown at him, and he's the problem. The Babylon Bee puts out an article. It's satirical in case you didn't know. But Memdani condemns New Yorkers for making Muslims throw bombs at them. Yeah, that's about it. Here's the very remorseful Muslim bomber. Very pleased walking out. Looks very remorseful there, huh? Here's allegedly part of his statement. I haven't been able to confirm this, but it looks legit. This statement that he made to the NYPD. In the NYPD vehicle en route to the precinct, Ballot, without being questioned by the NYPD officers transporting him, made the following spontaneous utterances, in part and is captured on the transporting NYPD officer's body-worn camera footage. This isn't a religion that just stands when people talk about the blessed name of the prophet. We take action. We take action. And if I didn't do it, someone else would come and do it. After arriving at the precinct and being advised of and waiving his Miranda rights, Ballot requested a piece of paper and, after having been given a paper and pen, wrote the following. All praise is due to Allah, Lord of all worlds. I pledge my allegiance to the Islamic State. Die in your rage, you kafar. Amir B. Based on my training and experience, I know kafar is an Arab term that refers to non-believers or infidels, and that die in your rage is a slogan used by ISIS based on a verse in the Quran. Law enforcement officers later asked Ballot if he was familiar with the Boston Marathon bombing, and if that was Ballot had hoped to accomplish. Ballot responded, no, even bigger. It was only 3 deaths. We value free speech in the United States. Islam says you cannot mock our religion or criticize our religion. Those two things aren't compatible. It's that simple. Go ask Charlie Hebdo. Go ask the people that put up the Danish cartoon. Go ask Salman Rushdie. Go ask the people in Texas where the Islamic terrorists, where they had a Draw Muhammad contest and the Islamic terrorists came out. It's not going to stop. There was a case in Britain not long ago. I can't even show the clip. Where a man was tearing up or lighting a Quran, and a Muslim stabs him multiple times. He was given probation. Wasn't even put in jail for provocation. Meanwhile, as a Christian, I have to watch why my religion gets mocked everywhere. Everywhere. Did you see the house that this terrorist lived in? See if I have a picture of that. Bucks County, PA, my state. What a house. My goodness. I think I read $1.7 million house. Cool. Nice. Second generation, baby. I worked my ass off my whole life. My house cost $80,000. I know people younger than me work their ass off their whole life. They'll never be able to afford a house. Another source said 2.5 million. Yeah. You'd be a fucking off the boat Somalian that can't speak the language, open up a daycare that never sees a fucking kid, and you're handed millions of dollars. I'd love to see if that household got any government funds. Man who assaulted 10-year-old boy at swimming pool in Austria has sentence overturned by the Supreme Court. Judges say lower courts had not established whether the attacker thought the boy consented. 10 years old. And heretical liberal puts the following. This is the kind of headline you read, your mind just refuses to believe it. You assume there must be some exaggeration or misinformation or some nuanced fact that is being exploited to paint an inaccurate picture. Because surely it can't be this, right? Surely there's no way a 20-year-old man could have his sentence overturned because it was established at his trial whether he thought he was having consensual sex with a 10-year-old. But then you read the article, and that's literally what it is. This is what makes people think our leaders hate us. This is what delegitimizes the liberal project in many people's minds. Like many liberal-minded people of my generation, I grew up believing that progressivism promised a better way, a more fair and just world, where people really were judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. When I see stuff like this, I cannot help but think something is deeply wrong with the state of the modern left. After all, to paraphrase the psycho from No Country for Old Men, if liberalism you followed it brought you to this, what use was your liberalism? That's what we're importing. There is no compatibility. I don't care how good the fucking curry is, Piers Morgan. Fuck you. Non-negotiable. Day after day after day, never ending. I mean, a major politician in the United Kingdom. Oh, shoot. Why am I drawing a blank right now? The Restore Britain Party. Great guy. Rupert something. He just put out a report, a government report, that said that they were told and have verified, Rupert Lowe, that not only was the grooming gang scandal as bad as you've heard, but that cops were facilitating it. And some of the assaults happened in police cars by police officers. Oh, well. What's the consequences then? Now, I talked about for years. How many times have you followed me? Well, have you heard me say this? The countries that I associated with closest to the United States would have been Canada and the United Kingdom. And when I hear people say, things never get that bad in the United States, we'd rise up. We wouldn't allow it. We'd rise up and fight back. And I was like, really? I would have thought the same about the United Kingdom to some degree. Tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of young girls assaulted in the most heinous way possible. Now admitted. Covered up by police and politicians for decades. People being locked up for criticizing it. And the British people finally had enough. And they said, we're tired of this shit. Something must be done. Stop Tommy Robinson. We don't like that guy talking about it. Get him. What? If that doesn't wake you up as a country, what will? Now I know the United Kingdom's different than the United States. Yes, but is it? In the ways that matter? Now, I don't know a lot about Curtis Yarvin. I think he's a monarchist, but I can't claim to have watched a lot of his stuff, so I don't know. Maybe I like him, maybe I hate him. I just don't know. I can't comment. But I saw this clip, and I was like, yep, this is along the lines of what I've been saying. So here we go.
What you're seeing, especially in what used to be called the White Dominions, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, especially is you're seeing they're starting to speed run. They're starting to come out of their crouch and basically just be like, yeah, actually, in the 21st century, I think they've increased the population of Canada by like 35%. Right. And so even that is small. The Spanish government was just like, we're going to legalize 500,000. Oh, but that's just an estimate. That's just an estimate of how many people that plan will suck in. It probably will be more like over 1 million. right? And so, and those people are Schengen. They can go anywhere in Europe, and you will see them do that. And and so what you could see in the U.S. if basically the next time Democrats win the presidency, people talk about like mass immigration. Like, no, we've not seen mass immigration. We have no idea what mass immigration is. Mass immigration is not 2 million people entering the U.S. a year. Mass immigration starts, I would not call it mass until it was like 10 a year. And like mass immigration is really the 10 to 50 to 100 million a year.
But that's what could spark civil war.
No.
I don't know. I'm seeing it here.
No, because people have no balls. People have no balls. And actually, they will not resist. They will not resist. All of, the thought that they will get their muskets and put on their tri-cornered hats or whatever. When you go back into the period when people actually did this, you're just like, fuck, these people are completely alien to us. Never happen. It won't happen at all. What will happen is exactly what happened in South Africa, which is they will just acknowledge that they've lost all of their power forever, and then they will sit quietly in their houses and build more and more barbed wire and electric fences until finally they are exterminated in one big pogrom. That's the future.
He's right. That's not inevitable, but that's the path we're on. Yeah, I don't think we'll likely see any short-term 50 million a year. But that is true. If there was an election today for president, who would win? Trump or whoever the Democrat candidate was? Yeah, the left would win. Oh, I disagree. The Democrats would win. And everybody knows what they're going to do on immigration. Doesn't matter. They'll win. Nope, I don't think Trump would win. I just don't. That's despite the fact people know what's going on with the immigrant. At this point, everybody knows. It's not a surprise. Everybody knows it's going to be open border time. Oh, well. Right now, I have right-wing friends that voted for Trump. They're not super political. They're kind of like, I'm not a big Trump fan. They wanted deportations. And now, these are real world people I know. Now, you know what? ICE has gone too far. We have left-wing insurrectionists on a daily basis, led by politicians, Democrat politicians supporting them on, starting violent confrontations with ICE agents. And they skip over all that. My friends have voted for Trump. But ICE, they're going too far. Okay. I don't know. I have squishy right-wing friends. My right-wing friends don't think he's gone far enough, so it's all anecdotal. Well, or you could look at the polling. I know it's difficult to trust any poll. But there's a reason. Trump's pulling back from Minneapolis. It ain't because, oh shit, everybody likes what we're doing and thinks we should go further. Trump said he's not signing another bill till the SAVE Act passes. It's great. He's late. Should have said that forever ago, but fine, great. Better late than never. Clear majority in recent polls says ICE is overstepped. For example, 65% of Americans believe ICE has gone too far in enforcing immigration law per a February 2026 NPR PBS Marist poll. In January, New York Times Siena poll said 61% said ICE had gone too far. Other surveys echo this. 60% disapprove of ICE work in February, according to Marquette Law School poll. February 2026 Washington Post Ipsos poll, 58% says deportations have gone too far. Harvard-Harris, January 2026, 57% say ICE and Border Patrol have gone too far. March 26 YouGov poll found most Americans want nationwide ICE operations decreased, with overall views of the deportation slightly negative. Additionally, a January 2026 CRSS and CNN poll, 51% believe ICE actions are making things less safe. Even a poll linked to Senator Tom Cotton's Super PAC, or PAC, in January 2026, 41% of respondents wanted ICE to tone down tactics to avoid unnecessary harm. 88% of Republicans and independents agree with that sentiment. Now, the truth is, the Trump administration could have been out there every day saying, violent left, violent left, violent left. Look what they're doing. Look what they're doing. Look what they're doing. Look what they're doing. Instead, we're taking out Maduro and bombing Iran. And Trump's telling his base, you guys need to lighten up on deportations. That's where we're at. Anarcho-tyranny is where we're at. Did you see this video? This white man's gonna be asked for proof that he paid his fare. Fair enough. Okay.
I just feel like I'm being singled out here. You're not doing anything about the guy in the back that hasn't provided proof of payment.
Towards you.
I didn't even notice you. Okay.
When I was walking towards you, that was when you got up and tapped your card.
You think
and
it's funny when you single people out?
And you clearly
What are you
said to
laughing
me,
about? It's not professional.
you forget to boarded at Joe's, and I said you did not board
I
at
did pay
Joe's,
my fare.
and that is the reason I
Upon
gave
I was
you that
inspected,
ticket.
you were provided proof of payment. Now you're trying to push a false narrative and
Did I
single
give
me
you
out.
failure to provide proof of payment? I give you failure to comply with postage.
Yeah, and you're not unreasonable.
Okay.
As soon as I get on, you just single me out for no reason.
No, we checked.
Nothing reasonable
We
about
tapped
you.
everyone.
Yes, and then you were.
You're
in the
just trying
middle
to
of
create
the
a scene.
scene.
No,
we tapped.
no,
we
you're
checked
creating
everyone.
a scene. by pushing a
All right,
false
let's go.
narrative. All right,
Thank
see you
you.
in court. Be reasonable. They're holding a streetcar just for you. And you're smoking fucking crack and meth back here.
Move the fuck away from me, dude.
Dude smoking crack in the back. They're like, hey, let's see your ticket stub. That guy's smoking crack. Eh. Adam Carolla talks about this in like San Francisco. He's like, the main drag on San Francisco, I think it's San Francisco, it might have been LA, but he's like, the main drag, he's like, it's insane. He's like, you'll see on one side of the street, it's just illegal setting up kiosks, selling shit in the street, whatever they want, all without a permit. Cops do nothing. Then on the other side of the street, if you let your meter run for 1 minute over, they're going to give you $100 fine. Anarcho tyranny. They'll bust your ass for going 3 miles over the speed limit. But if you shoplift $800 worth of merchandise, well, smoking crack, shooting up on the street, Local flights are going well.
Going to bomb the plane. Dead to America, dead to Trump. Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank God we imported 10 million illegals without vetting them. Now, here's the crazy thing. Let me ask you this as an audience. Let's get real weird now, right? Let's get weird. By the way, the donos suck today. I'm going to dark side fill it on you guys. You know, we're doing the content that people suck. Donos appreciate it, but we persist anyways. I'm having fun. Let's get weird. Right? Would you agree with me, regardless of what you think about, put your politics at, forget about what you think's right and wrong with this attack on Iran. Would you agree with this? The longer the war goes, the less popular it will become. Would you agree with that? Does everyone agree with that, regardless if you like the war or not, or the whatever you want to call it, conflict, war, strikes? The longer it goes, the less popular it'll become. Yeah, everybody agrees with that. What if I told you maybe not? Maybe you're wrong. Maybe that conventional wisdom's wrong. In a vacuum, absolutely. No one would disagree. But I don't think the religion of peace is going to be able to contain themselves. What if all of a sudden we have another shooting next week and another bomb goes off and someone hijacks a plane? Then what? On one hand, yeah, you're going to get people saying, well, this is because of the attack on Iran. But I believe that there's a chance for the administration to win the narrative that, like, look at this shit. Look at how the left is coming to the fucking defense of the Islamic terrorist. They let these people in. And if not now, eventually, there was going to be a pushback on Iran or a pushback on some Muslim issue. And all of these people that were left in were already here. Yeah, when have they won the narrative, though? In other words, let's say that plane, that guy detonated a bomb right there in that plane and killed people. And let's say that bomb detonated in New York City the other day. Would Trump's popularity with the conflict go up or down? If that's all you knew. I think there's a solid chance people would say, yeah, fuck these people. Now, never let it fall between the Republicans to fuck up the easiest of wins. I don't think it would go down. I think it would go up. I think so. I think people would say, oh, Iran were crazy, bloodthirsty fucking lunatics. Democrats can't help themselves. They have to go all in. They have to. Muslims shut up a bar in Austin, Texas. Threw Molotov cocktail at Christians in New York City. Threw a nail bomb at Christians in New York City. Tried to bomb a passenger plane in Nashville to Fort Lauderdale. That's within 7 days. Is there any... This is a tough topic to talk about. There were 2 assassination attempts on Trump's life, right? We're told Iran had something to do with a third, that a guy pled guilty and said Iran was trying to radicalize him. If I was a deep state operative that didn't like Trump, just say hypothetically that exists. Wouldn't now be the operative time? Oh, Imaginarium. You could blame it on Israel. You could blame it on Iran. You could blame it on a right wing. That'd be my money. It was a groyper. It was a groyper. Then you get it all. Oh, it's a right winger. It was a Trump supporter. It was Israel. Someone who hates Israel. Trump, wrap this shit up. It would be an Israel. This is what it would be. Mark my words. It'll be a groyper that's like anti-Israel, Trump supporter, right? Former Trump supporter that talks online about Israeli conspiracy theories all the time. But then there'll be something from the left, too, right? He'll have donated money to Act Blue. And campaigned for Kamala Harris. Isn't it funny how it always works that way? Checks every box. Reddit mod, yeah. Oh my gosh. If these guys would have, how much would we have known? We learned more about these would-be assassins, terrorists in New York City than if they would, if that explosive would have went off. How much would we have known about them? I suppose I'll mention it. It's not really in theme with today's show, but oh, I'm way up here. 1 second. Remember when I told you over and over that the reason that the filibuster won't be ended is because the truth is the Republicans love it because there's enough Republican senators that don't want Trump's agenda. And they could say, well, it's the Democrats' fault. It's Democrats' fault, not my fault. It's Democrats' fault. And the filibuster allows it. Well, then, remember, it was John Thune's trying. He's trying to get around to it and blah, 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 you know. And then I saw a lot of people saying, well, if Trump endorses Cornyn, it's because there's a deal being proffered. There's a deal. There ain't gonna be no deal. I mean, it's possible, but overwhelmingly, I would say it's not happening. They're not going to end the filibuster, and they're certainly not even going to fucking force a talking filibuster. But I saw some of the big Trump accounts on X saying, no, that's wrong. Okay. Here's John Thune today about the talking filibuster. This is what he says. Having studied it and researched it pretty thoroughly, you have to show me how, in the end, it prevails and succeeds. Because I think that what's been promised out there is that it would actually, in the end, get an outcome. And I find it very hard to see that based on actual past experience. There were a couple different occasions where Democrats contemplated doing this, both under Majority Leader Harry Reid, and at the time, the Majority Leader Schumer. And they opted against it because they examined it the same way that we're examining it. And obviously, what people don't realize, I think, is it's all unlimited debate. But it's also unlimited amendments. So what I've said before is that you can have unified support, not only in support of the ultimate goal, which is the Save America Act, on the process to be able to defeat amendments that would be to undo the legislation in the first place. And we can't find a piece of legislation in history that's been passed that way. Let me translate that for you. He knows, probably himself, but if not just him, he knows there are enough Republicans that are like, no. That's the truth. That's like a 90% Republican issue. It ain't happening. Not unless Trump puts his foot down. Now, Trump said he ain't going to sign any other bill until the SAVE Act comes across his desk. We'll see. We'll see. I hope he holds that through. I do. I'm skeptical. Yeah, 80% of Dems, right. He's filibustering in his comments about filibusters. Pretty meta. I'm so tired of this. Trump's not to blame. Yes and no. Trump is to blame and he's not to blame. Is he doing everything possible to get the SAVE Act passed? Not even close. He's been far more focused on foreign policy. Continues to be. He could go in the paint every fucking day. John Thune, get on the phone. Here's all the shit about him. John Cornyn, here's why this dude fucking sucks. Every single Republican holding it up. Every day, putting him on blast. Call him up. I veto everything you motherfuckers put out. Everything. What's that? You're worried about fucking Iran? We ain't doing shit with that. SAVE Act first. I don't understand. Like, listen, I'm the first person to say, with all my criticisms of Trump, the Republicans in Congress are 10 times worse. They're actively sabotaging his agenda and are worthless. They're terrible. I say it all the time. That's the real problem. I give Trump the benefit of the doubt in a lot of things, but not on this. Trump absolutely could make this his central focus. Now, he may make it his central focus and still not win. At least he tried. Instead, what are we doing? Bombing Iran, taking on Maduro, maybe going to Cuba next. Nice. Now, make no mistake, this is probably a lefty that wants to demoralize you. Now, a lot of the right-wing people that are just like, everything's controlled by Israel, you do understand the people cheering you on the most are the left. They're like, yes, absolutely. Why even bother with the SAVE Act? Why even bother? No need to pass it. Netanyahu runs it. You know what we should do ironically? Just vote Democrat. Oh, what's it matter? It's President Netanyahu anyways. See? And then right along, the right-wingers jump right on board. I used to have lefties that was the same shit. Hey, man, you know what it is, man? George Bush wants you to vote, man. You should protest and you should stay home. I was like, yeah, great. Yeah, you do that. Sounds good. Hey, man, it's like Netanyahu controls everything, so it's like, why even work on the SAVE Act? I wouldn't deport anyone, man. I wouldn't do that. I'd bring in 50 million people, man, because Netanyahu controls everything, everywhere, anyways, man. So, like, just bring them all in, right, man? Like, yeah, that's what we'll do, huh? Let's vote even more. Let's just make it illegal to be Christian, man, because that's what Netanyahu. Let's just do it. Yeah, man. Okay. You guys nailed it. It doesn't matter if the SAVE Act passes, Netanyahu will still be president. Probably, but he's not wrong, was your response. What was it that he's not wrong about? It doesn't matter if the SAVE Act passed because Netanyahu will still be president. Now, if you want to change your position and say, oh, no, it does matter if the SAVE Act gets passed, but it's just Netanyahu will still be president. You agreed with the person saying it doesn't matter if we pass the SAVE Act because Netanyahu will still be president. I said, if you want to adjust to say, no, I still want the SAVE Act passed, but it won't matter because Netanyahu will still be president, that's fine. I have no time for you black-pilled fucking losers, to be honest. You I just don't have time for it. He said it didn't matter if the SAVE Act. My mistake. I put words in your mouth. I'm sorry. You're right. He didn't say don't pass the SAVE Act. He said it doesn't matter if it passes, thereby demoralizing people saying, it doesn't matter if it passes or not. And I intuited in saying that's what lefties do because they want you to not be involved in the political process. So the issues you would think are the most important, like the SAVE Act, you'll be like, well, I guess it doesn't matter. And then right-wingers like you will jump on and say, he's right. I'm sorry I misspoke. I said that you were a black-pilled fucking loser that said we're agreeing with him and said don't pass the SAVE Act. Instead, you're a black-pilled fucking loser that agreed with him and said it doesn't matter if it passes. My mistake. I'm so sorry for that. My bad. I'll do better being specific on that, you black-pilled fucking loser. Oh, you can say you're not a black pillar, but you just agreed with someone saying it doesn't even matter if the signature legislation that we're all on board trying to push passes because it'll be President Netanyahu. It doesn't get more black-pilled than that. What if you're wrong, by the way? Like, that's all the, that's it. Just give up. Nothing matters. It's all Israel. It's all, what if you were wrong? It's like, oh, shit. I just gave the left everything they wanted. I could see it. I could literally see them say, yes, mass importation. Yes, fuck white people over. Sure. But I supported everything they wanted, or I was indifferent and just said, I'm just taking myself out of the process because Netanyahu runs everything. And then maybe I was wrong. You are agreeing with the people whose argument that is. Left-wingers that are telling right-wingers, don't even worry about it. Don't even push for the SAVE Act. None of it matters. Netanyahu, you're like, yes, he's right. Yeah. Hey, cool Vic. Thanks for the raid, man. Always a big cool Vic fan. I like you, consumer. But it just, I don't know. Why? Why would you want to? I'll just do. Why do you want to see more nuts signing shit? Doesn't matter. Netanyahu's president. Give me any suggestion, consumer. Doesn't matter. Whatever you suggest, it's Netanyahu's president. So what's it matter? You can be like, I think we should bomb Israel. Doesn't matter. That's what Netanyahu wants. He's still the president. There's nothing that ever changed. Netanyahu's the president. You know, that's reality. Nothing matters. Netanyahu's president. So it doesn't matter. President Netanyahu, right? Let's vote for Netanyahu in 2028. Doesn't matter because Netanyahu's already president. Doesn't matter if we vote for him. Literally anything first, like not signing shit until a wall is built and help us build it. Nah, wall wouldn't matter. What's it matter if we build a wall? Just like a wall won't save us. We still have President Netanyahu. SAVE Act won't save us. We still have President Netanyahu. That's what you said, right? So why would a wall save us? We'd still have President Netanyahu. What's the point? Why would you even suggest a wall? I mean, so who cares? It's still President Netanyahu. If the SAVE Act, if it's, who cares? The SAVE Act won't save us. We still have President Netanyahu. A wall will? A wall will save us? We all of a sudden wouldn't have President Netanyahu? Oh, that's interesting. A lot of Jewish people have spoken out against the SAVE Act. And? You just said it doesn't matter. It's not going to save us because we have President Netanyahu. I don't know. They do have a wall in Israel. It's quite effective. I don't think it's consistent. I'm making a point. I'm like, look, our own leadership in our party, in the Republican Party, doesn't want the SAVE Act. And Trump could be trying to push that issue. Instead, he's doing foreign policy, like bombing Iran or taking out Maduro. And then some lefty posing as a Trump supporter is like, oh, the SAVE Act doesn't matter. It won't do anything anyways because we have President Netanyahu. And you're like, yeah, that's true. Probably true. You're being pretty consistent. Then you're like, but the wall. Okay, so just to be clear, me saying Trump should stop the foreign policy shit, focus back home on securing elections by passing the SAVE Act, ensuring that you have to be a citizen to vote and have ID. You're like, that probably doesn't matter. That probably doesn't matter because, well, President Netanyahu. But instead, he should do the wall. SAVE Act doesn't matter. Wall does matter. I don't see the consistency. Can you explain to me the difference between why the SAVE Act doesn't matter because President Netanyahu, but the wall would matter and somehow defeat President Netanyahu? Can you explain the difference? I don't see that as consistent. Unless your argument is Netanyahu wants the SAVE Act, but doesn't want the wall. Is that your argument? That's not what you said. That's not what you said at all. I'm done talking to you, consumer. Go Black Bill with the rest of the chat. I'm done addressing it. No, I get it. You're limited to 200 characters. Plus, you're probably having a lot of problems because, YouTube probably doesn't allow you to yell Jew or whatever you want to yell the whole time. So it probably makes it difficult. I get that. I totally get it. Here, let's do this. I think I spelled it wrong, but from now on, when we do the show, just for consumer and the fake left or the fake right wingers, not consumer. Consumer's a right winger, right? But like this Trump life coach, fake right winger, right? I'll just continue doing my show I normally would, but for them, we'll just put this up. So I'll just do the normal show, and then when I see them to comment, I'll be like, "Oh, read the bottom there." So there we go. So, anyways, it's a big problem. Big problem that the leadership of the Republican Party has zero interest whatsoever of pushing the SAVE Act. None. It just, as I've been saying forever, and now we have Thune that's coming out, and all but admitting it. And then you have other people like Tom Tillis, now he's on his last, he's not running for re-election. Why is it that you always see these Republicans, Michael Steele and John Boehner and Jeff Flake, and all these Republicans, when they're on their last term, it really comes out, doesn't it, what they think of their base?
Do you think Stephen Miller should go?
Oh, of course I do. I think Stephen Miller is one of the. Not only does Stephen really want to just paint a picture, he's not worried about substance, he's more worried about form, but I also think that he has an outsized influence over the operations of the cabinet. And I believe we've got qualified cabinet members there that sometimes are doing less than what they want to because of his direction and his outsized influence. He's a big problem in this administration. He has been from the beginning.
There you have it.
Do you think
so? The guy that's fighting the hardest for deportations and stuff. Well, there you have Republicans in the Senate that's not running for re-election again. He's got to get that. Yeah, he's got to get that MSNBC gig. Him and Michael Steele, right? But in fairness, I could be wrong. Is Stephen Miller Jewish? So he's probably Netanyahu's buddy or something. So, All right, let's read Super Chats now that I'm done picking on the people in the audience. Consumer's great. All right, where were we? Baxter Boy, thank you so much for the $5. Matthew, if it all fails, $5 says, why would so many countries be overrun with Muslims in less than a decade? It's not organic, right? No, it's a globalist agenda. They see the West, and particularly the United States, as the biggest impediment to them achieving total global power, particularly like the working class. So they want to demoralize and take away those people's self-sufficiency in these countries. They view people as just cogs in a machine to benefit them. That's what they view. They don't want people that have a self-interest in advocating for a country that they feel connected to. So all of us could be displaced. Baxter Boy, $5. Thank you. Really appreciate it, man. Linebacker gives 20, says, let's get those donos up, chat. Short break from the doom and gloom. Yes. Thank you. Massage Ninja Smith, $5, says, why do we still have to spring forward? I hate all Congress for not passing a vote with 99% approval from the people. Deep state, there you go. Jesse Marquez, $20, says, for the dark side. Thank you, man. Thank you. Probably because Benjamin Netanyahu likes springing ahead. That's probably what's going on. That'd be my guess. Now, tomorrow, there's stories I still want to talk about that I didn't get to today. This Epstein story is wild. That apparently, now, it used to be, I said, the fact that we had 2 cameras malfunction while 2 guards fell asleep, while Epstein apparently hung himself in one of the most physically difficult ways possible. If that wasn't enough coincidence, now we have one of those guards was putting large sums of money in her bank account beforehand and looking up Jeffrey Epstein and facts about him hours before he died. And basically, no one put 2 and 2 together like, she's looking into this dude. She's getting a bunch of money from somewhere. Let's get to the bottom of it. She's like, no one really asked me about it. Oh, man. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. There's other clips that I have. I get this professor talking about postmodernism. I thought that was interesting. But that's all for tomorrow. For today, first off, I owe the great Wade Boggs one of these stupid whip wheel songs. Now, at this point, we are at $188, so I'll owe another one. Every time we get over $100 mark, I owe one, plus any individual $100 donation. So I owe Wade one. If we get $12 more, that'd put us at $200. Then I would owe 2. Yes, I also have a headache. I didn't think to blame Netanyahu. So let's play Wade's song. We'll see, 11. Yay. Now we'll see. I'll check the news while this is playing, and maybe I'll find something interesting happening tonight. I've heard this one too much lately.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, 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 where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. We're gonna march all day and night and more, for we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war. Where there's a will, where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Left, right, left, right, left. Where there's a way, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way.
Yay! Ugh. Well, $20, not 2 whips. If we get to $200, that would be a whip song. These clips of fucking Lindsey Graham, my goodness. See this shit? And you start to see where the everything Israel people, I mean, yeah, you have a point here.
All the anti-Semites to all the isolationists, I don't believe. Forget it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I will be with Israel to our dying day. They're the best ally we could hope for. So we have a commander-in-chief in President Trump, who I think is Ronald Reagan plus.
You son of a bitch. What a piece of shit. I hate that guy. And here's Lindsey Graham offering alliances.
Finally, to my friends in Saudi Arabia, I've been your biggest champion. I think the Crown Prince has taken Saudi Arabia in a completely different direction in a good way. But here's what I want to say to Saudi Arabia tonight. I'm willing to do a mutual defense agreement with your country to give you protection in perpetuity. Under the agreement I've been pushing, and I hope we can continue to talk about, if you're attacked by Iran, we would go to war for you.
Who the fuck is he to offer that deal? Meanwhile, Trump's like out there every day like, oh, this is limited. It's not about, blah, blah, blah. And then this asshole goes on TV every night. It's like, nah, man, we're in it for broke. We're going to go to Cuba. We're going to fucking give deals to Iran or to Saudi Arabia. Unreal. Oh, the great Wade Boggs. $20. Thank you so much. Says another. I'm going to write a strongly worded letter complaining about these whip songs, Wade Boggs. We just... It's too much, Wade. Oh, another punk. All right, enjoy, Wade. You're the only one that will.
Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. We don't wanna go to war today, but the Lord of the Last says nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Where there's a whip, there's a way. 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 Left, right, left. Where there's a way, there's a way. Left, right. Where there's a way, there's a way. Left, right. A crack in the back says we're gonna fight. We're gonna march all day and night and more. For we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war.
Hey! Good Lord. Good Lord. Oh, look at this. NPC. I missed you. $5 is from Canada. We have ID laws. Nice. Didn't help much, did it? Thank you so much, KA, over on Cash App. From one American to another. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Classical blue jazz. It's $150 to pick your own version. Yeah, Donna Rose, I know. Now listen, I hate the whip shit as much as anyone, but it pays the bills. I could fucking sit here and have like the greatest debate in history. Have the greatest commentary in history. And it's like, which is what I want to do, and it's what I'm going to do anyways. And then I come on and I'm like, all right, we'll play a whip song, and I'll make more money doing that. So I got to keep doing it. I do have a 2-story attic because of the whip wheel. Yeah, it's true. My phone's been doing this weird thing lately. Like, let's say I miss a call like last Thursday. It'll just come up and say missed call. And then I'll be like, oh shit, I just missed a call. And then I check the details and it's like from last Thursday. But it just pops up. It's like, well, what's going on? Very strange. Very strange. Oh, it's $200 to end the Whip Wheel songs. Unless someone donates $200 on top of it. But yes, that's the rule. Fucking Israel. Yes, that's right. Maybe I do have Apple Intelligence. What are the chances Democrats win the midterms? Midterms, I'd put it about an 85% to 90% chance of the House and probably about a 65% chance to win the Senate. Now, it's a long time till the midterms. Anything could happen. So I wouldn't put any sort of confidence in that prediction, but if it was right now, that's what I would put it at. $2028? I have to see. That's so far out. If Trump continues to be foreign policy exclusive president, I don't know. They're not going to get much domestically done once they lose the House. Let's get rid of that. Oh, let's see. Austin Hall. Yeah, I'm sure Austin Hall is talking shit. The rotten bastard. Bacana says, it's always annoying when Republicans celebrate ceasing all power. But when it comes to actions, they move slower than a snail. Yeah? Yeah, he walked that back, but yeah, I get it. I was reading some crazy stories about people losing their jobs, like programmers losing their jobs to AI. Pretty insane shit. Well, folks, a slow night tonight. That's perfectly fine. Tomorrow night, maybe we'll do a debate review. Maybe we'll do the Destiny Constantine Kissin debate. That might be interesting. I know other people have covered that, but I'm me, so maybe I'll cover it. But it's a big debate. I haven't seen it yet. Aquanote, thank you. Appreciate the $5. What's everyone yelling at me? Rob. Stop yelling at me. Yeah. My boss, is Andrew my boss? I guess, technically. I'm probably going to get some sleep. Have I seen the Human Brain Computer? The one that plays Doom? I did see that. Pretty fucked up, huh? Pretty crazy. All right. We lose tonight. It was a slow night. I hope you enjoyed the show, though. I enjoyed it. As long as I pay the bills, I don't give a fuck. You guys are incredibly generous. Thank you so much. We'll get super chats someday in the future. Don't worry about it. I'm going to raid over to Myron Gaines is on. So let's go see what Myron's up to here. Tell him I sent you. Be nice. I might stream a little earlier tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe around A. Oy vey! Yes. I try to vary who I raid, so Myron's who I saw today, so. Thank you so much to my editor, Black Elk, my friend Avarice. Hope everything's going well with him. Thank you to everyone who donated tonight. You guys are the best. Special shout out to Wade Boggs. Wade single-handedly gives me a headache every night, but also pays my mortgage. So, it's a trade. Everyone else that donated, thank you to everyone who liked and subscribed. All of my mods, EOD, Achilles Ware, Naughty Germ, Sense Forehead, Are We Not Men, everyone else. You guys are the best. So thank you so much. Take a moment and think where we're at today. And if it would have been different had Charlie Kirk not been assassinated. Charlie seemed to be someone who was able, without big donor money, to push back on a lot of the sort of donor class. Who knows? Who knows where we would be? Never forget, as you see them bullshitting about this Islamic terror attack, it's the same sorts of people that said, well, Charlie was a fascist. Charlie had it coming. Mocked him, laughed him, mocked his family. Don't forget. Do not forget that's what we're up against. So say a prayer for Charlie and his family. Enjoy this raid of Myron Gaines. I will see you all tomorrow. And as always, have a good one.
Only in America is it possible to say, you know what, I don't like the way the country is going, and to do something about it. Take that risk. Take that leap of faith. Stay involved. Trust God and act obediently. Romans 12:2 verse. That God will use all things for good for those who love him. It's bigger than you. I want you to remember that. It is bigger than you. It's bigger than me. You are here to make somebody else's life better, the pursuit of liberty and freedom. You know what gives me strength? The hundreds of thousands of you that say, Charlie, keep going.
1 Corinthians 5 and 15. So that's all pretty amazing evidence, not just intra-biblical evidence, but extra-biblical evidence that Jesus Christ was a real person. He lived a perfect life. He was crucified, died, and rose on the third day, and he is Lord and God of all.